Uh, Dirt. Man, most of all the Chicago raps for real. I heard this.
Every rapper might claim the streets, but the streets aren't quick to let anyone go. Take bloodhound Lil Jeff. He took his beef to the extreme, gunning down rivals outside their high school and all but admitting it afterward. It wasn't long before his own life was taken in retaliation during another violent encounter. In drill, the music is more than a reflection of the street wars. It's a lifestyle. And eventually, that lifestyle comes at a steep cost. Some, like Quandarando, attempt to distance themselves. He even pleaded to leave the Crips after his crew was ambushed. Others, like Lil Durk, seem to embrace the chaos. Durk's name frequently surfaces in police investigations as federal authorities continue piecing together cases against his OTF crew. D-Thang's recent return to the streets after beating a major conspiracy charge in New York is another reminder of how entangled drill artists are in these conflicts. For every rapper who manages to escape the violence, countless others are ensnared by it. Consider K-Flock, currently incarcerated for a murder charge, or FBG Duck, killed in broad daylight. The cycle of violence just never seems to end. In this world, even a single track can spark a dangerous feud. As we dive deeper into the lives of 15 drill rappers and their ties to various gangs, we begin with Lil Jeff. Known as a fearsome figure on Chicago's east side, he represented Drill City Bloodhound, a crew notorious for its clashes with BKN, Trap City, Twayambi, 8 Trey Mob, and 800. His reputation was built on brazen claims, including a body count in double digits. He wasn't shy about showing off either, going live to share his location and flashing heavy weaponry. Jeff's initiation into this life started at just 18, following in the footsteps of his older brother, who introduced him to the streets. Jeff's name started buzzing after Z-Money, a Drill City member, was reportedly set up and killed by Trap City. According to Jeff, losing Z-Money hardened him, driving him toward retaliation. On June 25, 2023, J-Lo Goins from Trap City was shot multiple times while getting into a lift in Little Italy. Jeff and his crew wasted no time taking to social media, mocking the incident and making it clear this was payback for Z-Money. From there, Jeff only doubled down. On January 26, 2024, BKN members Montario Williams, nicknamed Monty, and Robert Boston, known as Lil Rob, were shot outside Innovations High School. The attackers rolled up in 2 vehicles and opened fire, leaving Monty, just 17, and Lil Rob, only 16, dead at the scene. Jeff went live afterward, boldly rapping about the hit and making it clear these shootings were revenge for earlier transgressions. His reckless online boasting painted a target on his back. By June 8, 2024, while Jeff was sliding through Trap City's territory, his enemies were ready. Surveillance footage showed him chasing a rival into a house. Before Jeff could finish the job, someone inside returned fire, hitting him in the chest. Rushed to the hospital, Jeff was pronounced dead at just 21. After his death, his enemies, Trap City, BKN, and others, took to the internet, celebrating his downfall and mocking the irony of him dying while trying to claim another body. Jeff's story was yet another chapter in the Chicago drill scene, where reputations often burn bright but fade fast. The same could be said for YBC Dole, a Philly rapper notorious for crossing every line. He even allegedly went so far as to desecrate a rival's grave. His brazen disrespect for the dead and constant taunting earned him widespread hatred and a massive target on his back. The very day after bragging that he had never been touched, his luck ran out. On August 23, 2024, while Dole and his crew were parked on North 6th Street, another car pulled up. What followed was a hail of bullets, leaving Dole dead in the street. Dole's injuries, a shot to the chest and another to the hand, left him unable to escape his fate. His friend tried to rush him to safety, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at the hospital later that day. To cover their tracks, the killers set a stolen car ablaze nearby. That same night, yet another shooting occurred just a few blocks away. Growing up on Philly's north side, Dull moved to the west side at 10 years old, where he joined forces with J100 and Baby Cog to form the Young Bag Chasers, YBC. At first, their focus was all about making money, but after the murder of their friend YBC Josh in 2019, the crew changed direction and embraced a more violent path. Within months, YBC allegedly took out a rival named Buddy and began feuding with 39th Street and the Mont. One of their most dangerous enemies was Fro from 39th Street, rumored to have killed YBC affiliate BL. YBC made it their mission to eliminate Fro, and in 2021, they attempted to ambush him near a jail. Instead, they mistakenly killed an innocent man. That same year, YBC escalated even further, reportedly killing 2 people in a single day: Nasir Marks, a high school student, and Kanye Pittman, gunned down outside his school. YBC's reputation grew not just from street violence, but also from the music they produced. Reek 1200's track No Get Back openly referenced 2 murders in one day. In retaliation, rival groups targeted Baby Ka, shooting him more than 25 times while he sat in his car. The violence spiraled further when the ops killed YBC Dufetti, rumored to be Dull's blood cousin, prompting even more retaliation. Dull stoked the flames by releasing provocative tracks like So Many Names and McButtons, where he mocked fallen enemies. One victim, Booga, a McDonald's employee, was killed solely because of his connection to a rival. In the McButtons music video, Dull and his crew filmed themselves inside a McDonald's, ordering food and taunting Booga's death. Beyond the music, Dull linked up with PNB and the Tortures, entangling himself in beefs with the Black Flags, CCCA, and West Side Mafia. His close friend Hop Out Blick later got locked up for a triple murder that started as a failed gun sale. Blick even rapped about the crime before being arrested. Dull once expressed a desire to turn things around and give back to his community. But before he could make that change, he became another statistic, another rapper whose name burned brightly in the streets, only to fade too soon. FBG Duck became the face of STL EBT, one of the most notorious GD crews on Chicago's South Side. Growing up in the roughest neighborhoods, Duck built a fearsome reputation as one of the most unpredictable and aggressive figures in drill. While his talent had the potential to elevate STL, the long-standing war with O'Block and the BDs ultimately led to devastating consequences. Duck's rise began with his older brother FBG Brick, a respected STL EBT member who helped shape the crew's legacy. By his teenage years, Duck had followed Brick's lead, becoming deeply entrenched in the life of the set. Known for his fighting spirit, Duck wasn't afraid to show up on enemy turf, reportedly even confronting rivals on their own O-Block ground. But the event that turned the South Side into an all-out war zone was the 2011 murder of Duck's close friend Tuka. Tuka's killing at a bus stop set off a chain of retaliations that escalated beyond control. STL struck back a few months later when Odie Perry, a BD, was gunned down. Following Odie's death, Weak City rebranded itself as O'Block in his memory. Rumors circulated that STL's KY and FBG Butter were involved in the hit. For Duck, Tuka's murder was deeply personal, and it became a driving force behind his music and actions. As the BDs began to dominate the rap scene, with stars like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and Rondo No. 9 leading the charge, STL was rising right behind them. Duck, alongside artists like Billionaire Black, Lil J, and Wooski, established STL's presence in the drill world. However, in 2017, Duck faced another tragic loss. His brother FBG Brick and his cousin Kobe Mack were both killed. Speculation pointed to C Murder from O'Block as the culprit, though no arrests were made. Rather than stepping back, Duck turned up the intensity. In 2018, he achieved mainstream success with his breakout track Slide, which gained millions of views and brought him significant recognition. But even as Duck's star rose, STL remained mired in street conflicts, continuing to battle enemies and face the consequences of their relentless feuds. Wooski survived a shot to the head at Dusky's funeral. Even though Duck himself had been shot twice before, he refused to leave Chicago, insisting he knew how to move safely. Duck's music was built on taunting dead rivals, but in 2019 he briefly tried a different approach. On Chicago Legends, he paid respect to fallen BDs like L.A. Capone and Fredo Santana. However, the truce didn't last. Just a year later, Duck dropped Dead Beaches, a track packed with disrespect towards several O Block members. That single choice would prove fatal. In August 2020, Duck ventured into the Gold Coast, an upscale Chicago shopping district, with his girlfriend. O Block got word of his location, and in minutes, 2 cars full of shooters descended on the area. 6 members jumped out, guns blazing. Duck was hit in the chest and neck, and he didn't make it. Not even a year later, 5 O Block affiliates, C Thang, C Murda, Muap, Los, and Zelmuna, were arrested on RICO charges for Duck's murder. Witnesses claimed there was a $50,000 bounty on Duck's head, which later doubled to $100,000. Duck's death marked the beginning of the end for FBG. After him, FBG Cash was the last member trying to keep their name alive in music. Cash dropped diss tracks aimed at O Block, including Computer Murderers and Steppers Come, but he was gunned down in traffic in June 2022. With Cash's death, FBG fell apart. Meanwhile, K-Flock had been rising as a leading figure in Bronx drill, but instead of focusing on his music, he got caught in beef, a murder charge, and a sprawling RICO case that could lock him away for life. Flock came up in Sevside 187 DOA, a block crew made up of mostly Crips from 280, 180 RGC, and HMC, with some Bloods in the mix. Though Sevside leaned Crip heavy, Flock was part of SMM, a group that didn't always see eye to eye with him. Many SMM members also identified with Drilly, a crew with long-standing issues with Flock. Sevside was locked in an intense war with the Goonies and the 4Zs, making the Bronx one of the most dangerous drill battlegrounds in the city. Flock hadn't even planned on rapping at first. He was mostly hyping up his homies B. Lovey and Dougie B. But in 2020, they convinced him to step into the booth, and from there, his career took off, along with all the challenges that came with it. K-Flock's early tracks gained attention quickly, but when he released Is Ya Ready and Being Honest, his career hit another level. His numbers surged, and within a few months, he was one of the most buzzed-about drill artists in New York. Yet, just like Chicago's scene, Bronx drill wasn't solely about the music. Almost every artist had gang ties, and street conflicts followed them into the industry. Initially, Flock had been cool with rappers like E. Baby from the OY set and Shaw EK from the OGs. However, tensions flared after E. was seen associating with RPT, one of Flock's rival crews. Flock saw it as a betrayal and soon turned against E. which also pulled Shaw EK into the mix. The beef escalated quickly, with diss tracks flying and street violence intensifying. Despite these conflicts, Flock's industry presence kept growing. In October 2021, he teamed up with Lil J and Fivio Foreign for Not in the Mood, which climbed to number 61 on the Billboard Hot 100. The following month, he released his debut mixtape, earning the title of Billboard's Hip Hop Rookie of the Month. Flock had become the face of Bronx drill, but instead of stepping away from the streets, he became further entrenched in the conflict. In December 2021, he allegedly shot and killed a man named Waka outside a Bronx barbershop in broad daylight. Initially, police claimed that Flock approached Waka and shot him when he tried to walk away. However, surveillance footage later contradicted that account. It showed Waka following Flock out of the shop before the shooting occurred. Flock turned himself in, asserting self-defense. His lawyer maintained that Flock had a strong case, but while his defense team prepared, federal authorities were closing in. By February 2023, the Justice Department charged Flock and 7 others tied to Sevside and Third Side with RICO violations, alleging they had terrorized the Bronx through a string of shootings from 2019 to 2022. On top of the murder accusation, Flock faced additional allegations of multiple shootings in 2020 and 2021. At first, many thought K-Flock had a strong chance of beating the charges, especially with high-profile attorney Jeffrey Lichtman, known for representing El Chapo and John Gotti Jr., on his side. But once the RICO charges came down, everything changed. Flock now faces the possibility of life in prison or even the death penalty, and in federal RICO cases, the government's track record is intimidatingly strong. Federal prosecutors rarely lose these cases, and someone almost always cooperates. One of Flock's co-defendants, Sticky B, claimed that prosecutors offered him a deal to snitch, but he refused. Still, the likelihood of another co-defendant flipping remains high. In Florida, another story unfolded that showcased just how deadly the intersections of rap and street beefs could be. Fulio, a prominent and fearsome rapper from North Jacksonville, was known as the face of 6 Block, a set locked in a vicious war with ATK and 1200, crews connected to his rival, Youngeen Ace. Fulio's life came to a violent end in June 2024 when he was shot and killed in Tampa while celebrating his birthday. Fulio, whose real name was Charles Jones, grew up in one of Jacksonville's most violent areas. By his teens, 6 Block had earned a reputation as one of the city's most dangerous groups. He started losing close friends and family members early on, and the constant bloodshed only fueled his recklessness. 6 Block's feud with ATK and 1200 was bloody from the start, but things became deeply personal after the murder of Fulio's cousin Zion Brown in 2017, a killing rumored to be linked to Ace's crew. Then in 2018, Ace himself was shot 8 times in a drive-by that claimed the lives of his brother and 2 close friends. The streets of Jacksonville descended into chaos. Diss tracks flew back and forth, with Fulio and Ace turning their personal vendetta into one of rap's most infamous feuds. In 2021, Youngeen Ace and his crew dropped the provocative "Who I Smoke," where they listed Fulio's dead friends over an upbeat pop sample. The song became a viral sensation, forcing Fulio to respond in kind. He retaliated with "When I See You," a track that mocked Ace's brother and friends over a Fantasia song. The accompanying video reenacted their deaths, making it one of the most disrespectful diss tracks in history. The exchange not only cemented the feud as legendary within the drill and rap community, but also escalated the violence on the streets to unprecedented levels. Fulio never stopped provoking his rivals through his music, releasing tracks like List of Dead Ops and Bibi Flow. ATK retaliated with their own fiery disses, escalating tensions even further. The back and forth wasn't just for show. The songs mirrored a cycle of real-world violence that left both sides reeling from heavy losses. Over the years, Fulio survived multiple attempts on his life. In 2020, his car was ambushed, and over 100 rounds were fired at him. In 2023, he was shot in the foot at a gas station. Despite these close calls, he refused to leave Florida, remaining squarely in the conflict's crosshairs. On June 23, 2024, Fulio was in Tampa celebrating his birthday. He made his whereabouts known by repeatedly posting his location on social media, unintentionally turning himself into an easy target. After a birthday party at an Airbnb was shut down by police, Fulio and his crew relocated to a nearby Holiday Inn. But unknown to them, their enemies were already waiting. Around 4 a.m., gunmen arrived and opened fire, striking Fulio and 3 others. Fulio was the only one who didn't survive. Surveillance footage captured the entire event, and authorities quickly identified it as a targeted hit stemming from Jacksonville. Even the FBI got involved, hinting that someone might break silence about the attack. After his death, speculation ran rampant. Some fans suspected that someone close to him had set him up. His girlfriend was accused, though she denied the claims. Another figure, a woman named M. Lee, came under scrutiny after posting birthday wishes for him online. Regardless of the details, Fulio's relentless mocking of deceased rivals made him a constant target. Ultimately, his dedication to the street war proved fatal. Meanwhile, in Chicago, a new name was emerging. Von Off 1700, representing Toast Gang, TG, became one of the most notorious rappers from the city's west side. TG earned a fearsome reputation and was widely hated in the area. Unlike many other Chicago crews tied to the Black Disciples or Gangster Disciples, Toast Gang's roots were different. They traced their lineage back to L Block, originally affiliated with the Four Corner Hustlers. This gang had controlled West Garfield Park since the 1960s and was historically opposed to the GDs. Over time, many offshoots of the original Four Corner Hustlers emerged, splintering into more than 80 distinct sets. In modern-day Chicago, these historical affiliations often mean little, as many crews now claim to be EBK, Everybody Killer, a mindset that leads to internal conflicts and a willingness to clash with anyone. This attitude is why TOS Gang doesn't hesitate to feud with other four-corner hustler branches, including their rival set, Black Mop. TOS Gang is embroiled in several deadly feuds, with their most notable enemies being S Gang and Black Mop. These rival groups are dangerously close, S Gang just a block west and Black Mop a block south, making confrontations almost inevitable. But TOS Gang's conflicts go far beyond just these two sets. Ongoing losses and shifting alliances have left them at war with much of Chicago's West Side. Von Off 1700, a prominent voice of TOS Gang, explained in an interview just how fractured the West Side has become. He noted that even distant crews from North Lawndale are aligning with their enemies. His message was clear: anyone associating with an op would face the same consequences as the ops themselves. Von Off 1700 is known for openly dissing his enemies online, leaving no doubt that TOS Gang actively engages in these rivalries. The beef with S Gang and Black Mop has endured for over a decade, with younger members like Von inheriting these conflicts from previous generations. When asked in a No Jumper interview about the Pushing Peace movement, an initiative by FYBJ Maine and Tay Savage urging rival rappers to cease violence, Von didn't hesitate to dismiss it. He firmly stated that he would never make peace with his enemies. On February 19, 2020, Pop Smoke was killed in a home invasion at a Hollywood Hills rental house. Earlier that day, Pop had posted an Instagram story showing off designer bags, and one of the photos inadvertently displayed his full address. At around 4:30 a.m., 4 masked men entered the home through a second-story balcony, catching Pop and his crew by surprise. During the attempted robbery, Pop was shot twice in the chest. Instead of immediately calling 911, one of Pop's associates first contacted his manager in New York, delaying the emergency response. Eventually, Pop was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. He was only 20 years old. Meanwhile, in Chicago, G. Herbo grew up in one of the city's most dangerous areas, Terror Town on the east side. The neighborhood was infamous for constant gang conflicts involving No Limit, the Black P Stones, and various GD sets. Herbo was affiliated with No Limit, a faction of the Black P Stones formed by merging two smaller crews. Although NLMB stood for Never Leave My Brothers, the group was deeply entrenched in gang politics, locked in long-running feuds with rivals like Lakeside and Black Mob. Herbo's early life was steeped in the harsh realities of street violence. He met fellow rapper Lil Bibby at a local youth center, where they connected over a mutual love of music. Soon they were recording tracks together at a professional studio on 79th and Essex. Their big break came in 2012 with the release of Kill Shit, a song that helped establish No Limit's presence in Chicago's drill scene. The track openly referenced their gritty environment, ongoing rivalries, and the violent lifestyle surrounding them. It also included direct jabs at rival crews. Around the time Kill Shit dropped, No Limit's war with Lakeside and Black Mob was heating up. Gunfire was exchanged frequently, resulting in numerous casualties. These feuds became a recurring theme in Herbo's music, with his lyrics capturing the pain, loss, and survival that defined his life growing up in Terror Town. Herbo's early music was unfiltered and deeply rooted in the realities of his neighborhood. He frequently paid homage to fallen No Limit members like Kobe, Pistol P, and G Fazo, strengthening his role as the voice of his set. While his rap career began to flourish, Herbo kept his presence in Terror Town, a stark contrast to Bibby, who distanced himself from street life. Herbo's reluctance to leave the trenches brought several close calls and brushes with the law. In 2018, he was arrested alongside two others after police discovered loaded guns with extended magazines in their limousine. Authorities claimed Herbo had stashed a Glock in the seat pocket in front of him, leading to charges of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. He eventually posted bail and struck a plea deal, avoiding jail time in favor of probation. As Herbo's music evolved toward mainstream recognition, he stayed tied to No Limit, often referencing figures like Mad Max. Max, feared throughout the Chicago drill scene, was rumored to have carried out numerous high-profile hits against rivals. His reputation as one of the most dangerous members of No Limit was only amplified by Herbo's lyrics, which painted him as a real-life Call of Duty sniper, methodically racking up kills. However, Herbo faced even bigger legal troubles in 2020 when he was indicted for allegedly taking part in a $1.5 million fraud scheme. Prosecutors claimed he and a group of associates used stolen identities and credit card information to pay for private jets, luxury hotels, and designer puppies. Herbo pleaded not guilty, and the case remains ongoing. Although Herbo eventually moved away from the streets physically, many of his old No Limit associates stayed trapped in the same violent cycle. Some began to feel resentment, accusing him of abandoning them as his success grew. Meanwhile, No Limit's feud with Lakeside and Black Mob raged on, resulting in more losses and casualties on both sides. Herbo gradually moved away from direct street involvement, but continued to honor his roots through his music. Meanwhile, Lil Durk's journey began in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, one of the city's most dangerous areas. His father, Big Durk, was a well-known figure linked to Larry Hoover and the Gangster Disciples. Before Durk's first birthday, his father was sentenced to life in prison for running a major drug operation. Despite these early challenges, Durk poured his energy into music. He gained local recognition with tracks like Sneak Dissing and I'm a Hitta. His debut mixtape in 2011 helped him establish a foothold, but it was his 2012 track L's Anthem that brought him citywide attention. The song took shots at rival GD crews like Brick Squad and Wooga World, igniting tensions that spilled into the streets. Lil Jojo fired back with 300 KBDK, a scathing response aimed at Durk and the Black Disciples. Not long after, JoJo was gunned down, escalating the conflict between BDs and GDs to a deadly level. By 2020, Lil Durk had reached new heights in the music industry. His collaboration with Drake on Laugh Now, Cry Later introduced him to a broader audience and propelled his career into the mainstream. However, as his fame grew, tragedy struck. In November of that year, King Von, one of Durk's closest allies, was killed during a confrontation with Quando Rondo's crew in Atlanta. Von's death hit Durk deeply, and it wasn't long before rumors of retaliation surfaced. Law enforcement linked Durk to the killing of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pab, citing connections to Von's murder. Prosecutors claimed there were text messages from OTF associates discussing payment for a hit and direct references to Durk's involvement. Lyrics from his song Aha were used as evidence, alongside messages where the alleged shooters waited for Durk's arrival in the city before carrying out the plan. Durk's legal team argued that his previous 2019 case proved he wasn't a flight risk, but this time, things were different. Facing federal pressure, Durk reportedly tried to flee the country, booking flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy. However, he was ultimately apprehended before he could leave. Another rumor gaining traction revolves around OTF Jam, a longtime associate of Durk. Allegations suggest that Jam may have been pressured into cooperating with authorities. Some even claim that Durk ordered a hit on Jam's child's mother, with reports indicating that witnesses are providing information that could further implicate Durk. The federal case appears to be growing more complex, with signs pointing to additional charges being filed before the trial begins. As it stands, Durk remains in custody. Meanwhile, D-Thang, a major figure in Bronx drill, has been released from prison. After serving time on conspiracy and weapons charges, he was unexpectedly freed in early 2024, significantly earlier than his initial sentencing projection of up to 115 years. His return has already sparked speculation about what's next for him. Many are wondering if he'll be able to reclaim his position in the Bronx drill scene, or if his past will continue to cast a shadow over his future. D-Thang rose to prominence in River Park Towers, RPT, carving out his reputation through hard-hitting diss tracks. His music frequently referenced the violent and long-running feud between the YGs, Young Gunners, and their main adversaries, DOA, led by K-Flock. Although D-Thang and K-Flock are blood cousins, their family connection only seemed to intensify their rivalry, transforming their personal conflict into one of the most talked-about beefs in drill music. The combination of diss tracks and real-world confrontations between RPT and DOA turned the Bronx into a hotspot for drill-related violence. D-Thang's music career soared in 2020 with tracks like Caution and Talk Facts, which explicitly called out his enemies by name. While these songs elevated his profile, they also stoked tensions and drew the attention of law enforcement. RPT's activity was already well known, but D-Thang's musical success brought their conflicts to a larger audience, further cementing the Bronx's reputation as one of the country's most dangerous drill epicenters. The NYPD had been keeping a close eye on Bronx drill rappers, scrutinizing their lyrics for ties to real-world violence. By May 2022, authorities took action, issuing a sweeping 65-count indictment against D-Thang and 22 other RPT members. The charges were serious: conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and weapons possession among them. Prosecutors alleged that RPT was involved in at least 6 shootings, presenting evidence that linked firearms seen in their music videos and social media posts to actual crimes. One charge even involved animal cruelty, after a live stream surfaced showing RPT members reportedly beating a pigeon, claiming it represented a rival Crip from a neighboring set. While awaiting trial at Rikers Island, D-Thang's troubles didn't end. Reports emerged that he and a group of YG's members assaulted a Crip inmate, showing that the gang conflicts from the streets had spilled over into jail. Despite the serious accusations and a potentially lengthy sentence, D-Thang ultimately accepted a plea deal that significantly reduced his time. Now he's back on the streets. With D-Thang's return, all eyes in Bronx drill are on him. The scene has shifted during his time away. Some artists have fallen out of favor, while others have risen to new heights. Fans and rivals alike are watching closely to see how D-Thang reestablishes himself in the ever-evolving Bronx drill landscape.